Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane, and today is going to be a 1 versus 1 on Angoville, yes indeed, and it's going to be the more regular Angoville we actually know, not that other one, the haunted one, the cursed one. No idea why I just find it like that, but for some reason I can't help but get that idea into my head. Of course, Angoville, nice map, you know, sort of divided in that sort of fun way, left and right, road in the middle, bocage also in the middle. But who we shall be finding in the northern corner, we are seeing Littleboyblue, which I think is some sort of Anglian nursery rhyme. I mean, English-American sort of thing. I have no real experience with it, except that apparently there's someone called Littleboyblue. But he is fighting for the Americans, yes indeed, naughty Littleboyblue. Fighting for the 4th Infantry Division, going up against him shall be BartonPL once more. BartonPL this time fighting under the banners of the 352nd Infantry Division, which is certainly one of the more important divisions during the whole Normandy fighting, and was certainly one to actually tie up several American divisions for fighting until it was finally broken at Saint-Lô. I was basically sort of forced to pull back finally. We are seeing 3 pioneers now out from BartonPL, actually quite interesting to note. I don't very often see that, in particular not on Angoville. I'm seeing it on, I suppose, Simla and Lowlands, but not, I think, on Mr. Angoville map. And he's in fact setting up both pioneers right away, and then sending the 3rd up to construct the Wehrmacht quarters, I imagine. But that's certainly quite interesting, a bit novel actually. Whereas for Mr. Littleboyblue, we're not seeing anything like that. We're only seeing 2 engineers up, and the barracks right smack dab in the middle of the base, not right at the edges, which is usually where we're seeing things. And BartonPL is a high-ranking player. Littleboyblue, I think, is actually supposed to be a smurf. Either that, or he's just, well, certainly peculiar. But right there, it's usually not the sort of placement you usually see for many higher-ranking players. It's usually right here at either the entrance or sort of the edges of the base. It usually solves the purpose of not being a sort of, you know, also ensuring a place you can sort of have reinforcing at your base, instead of, you know, having all clumped up here and thus being one huge artillery magnet. And we are seeing some pretty early wiring here, and that might have been one of the purposes to sort of protect the flanks. Quite interesting, and we're seeing also heavy focus from BartonPL towards the west. Not unusual on this map. I mean, this is sort of the best one to fight in as Wehrmacht, in particular from the south, as this one has a few too many sort of ways you can sneak up. Here, right, in fact, because that's a huge gap. And of course here, I mean, usually you're going to have a lot of barbed wire and all defenses, and even then can still go sort of wrong. The Iron players again sort of favor this one because there's not a lot that can actually ensure that an American force can sneak up on you. So in that sense, a lot of American players Wehrmacht players favor the west. It also means, of course, that a lot of American players, when they do fight here, will tend to have the victory point advantage for quite a while. First team up is a Volkskanär team. MD team on the way, and I sort of refer to units as teams, not squads, because squads are usually about 10 to 12 men, and for some reason I always felt it was a bit silly that 5 men is all of a sudden a squad. So of course that's just me being a bit silly there. As for skin packs, yes, I know I'm getting a bit few new viewers, always constantly, in particular thanks to Krebs. And I also know this is a bit late, of course I'll be having another one. This is sort of a precast since I'm popping home for the weekend in relation to my little brother's birthday. MG team advancing right there. Volkswagen is starting holding up, going for the cut-off point. Although the Americans are going for the fuel, which the Wehrmacht just managed to secure. Riflemen have, although, infiltrated the lines of the Wehrmacht. MG-42 setting up just out of range. Volkswagen are moving in. Pioneers staying in support, though, to sort of augment the firepower and ensure the riflemen can't get close. I mean, that's also a little trick. I mean, American riflemen do have the advantage up close, but of course, you can sort of gain yourself this little extra advantage in case they do get up close. And that is basically essentially ensuring that you have some pioneers up close, in which case the submachine guns usually will turn the favor in your tide. Or turn the tide in your favor. Messing about there in my metaphors, I think. Which is a bit worrying, since I do have a course on metaphors as of the moment in my English courses. All fun that. Another Volkskanär out, so this is sort of the true Volkskanär MG thing. Of course, might be seeing more, hopefully, since again BartonPL is a more high-ranking player. Continuing pushing right here from Mr. Littleboyblue. Volkskanär's moving up, pushing up here. Pioneers in here. Not entirely sure why Barton insist on using this building. I mean, as you might notice here, I mean, that's something you have to remember. Windows sort of mean how many can fire out. And of course, on this side, there's only one guy that can shoot. It basically means the Americans will basically be able to drain out the troops in there without it really being able to fire back. Not the most opportune. I mean, here and of course here, they can be very dangerous because full windows and of course all the other advantages of being garrisoned. But otherwise here, it's actually a waste and would be better suited for a machine gun. Or, for example, if they had an LMG somehow or a BAR, they could work quite well, but they don't. And some pioneers trying, and MG trying to protect the fuel pump, but the Americans do render it neutral. Bit unfortunate. Flamethrowers here. Fulls kind of sort of bogged down. Another MG on the way for BartonPL and the 352nd. And there we go, so the broadside thing I like to talk about. Lots of riflemen able to fire out, and they of course will be enjoying garrison cover, so in that sense they have quite the advantage against the Volksgunners out here. Oh, they are flamethrower pioneers, but their flamethrowers being used against them as well. Absolutely horrific, heavy losses for the Volksgunners, and they need to get out of there. Barton, Rückzug! And there we go. Another rifleman stopped right there by the MG once more. Second MG moving up as well, and a third Volksgunner team on the way. So what we are seeing here is in fact a sort of heavy tier 1. I mean, this is only one variant of essentially going heavy tier 1. 3 Volksgunners and 2 MG42s. It certainly gives you quite a lot of striking power and of course also some defensive and of course flanking power and all that, or flank protection power. And it's certainly also one of the things some higher ranking players favor, although others, you know, as you might have noticed, like bikes and MGs and such. But this one certainly gives you a lot of tactical and strategic flexibility. And also a bit more durability. And of course in this case, Littleboyblue has gone for the BARs. So in that sense, I mean, it's also going to be reasonably good against that. Can stop the BARs from flanking. Of course the Volksgunners at the front can also do some damage as riflemen are trying to charge in on you. Of course, might also be an idea to lay down some sandbags and such. Littleboyblue is though holding most of the map, holding most of the fuel points. This could easily turn against Barton if he's not quick. Could mean that Littleboyblue could be going for armor, and which is not very unusual to see for an American commander who goes for BRs, and he's able to hold the advantage for some time. Although he's actually having very little in infantry. 3 teams only, and he only has 1 engineer team. He should strongly consider getting some more infantry, and I might also recommend getting a medic station. And generally I'd recommend, if you have a lot of infantry, and generally getting either a medic station, medic bunker, or a casualty clearing station. I mean, rules of thumb like that can help. And generally it's all about, you know, attrition, and of course conserving as much manpower as possible. And essentially for every team you're sort of able to pick up all the wounded, of course, I mean, that's manpower saved. Essentially you should never consider manpower lost until the guy has stopped moving. Until then, essentially, and then of course your Panzer lead, there's always a chance to recuperate that manpower and get it back into the fight. And sort of that sense you also have to sort of think of your manpower pools in 2 ways. The one you have there and the one you have on the field, and that sort of leads to a larger manpower pool, and of course that's a lot to sort of keep track of, and that's sort of something you have to train yourself into, sort of also sort of, well, while not having an fully accurate, but sort of having an idea of how much manpower's completely lost, how much do you have, how much do your opponent have, and how much have you completely wiped out. Stuff like that can be a good indicator of, you know, what's your situation, what his, and what could he be going for. Oh dear, large assault by rifleman MG42 has to be careful setting out in the open. I mean, yes, it can suppress quickly, but again, note, before the unit is completely pinned, it can still fire back. And with all that firepower, I mean, but it looks like they're actually retreating otherwise. I mean, they could possibly even have knocked out the MG crew. In this case, though, they don't. And looks like some engineers are trying to sneak up on the flank, but getting stopped by a mine. Good job there. A few resources being floated right there by BartonPL. Might be time for the Krieg barracks. Might also be time for some more part wire there. Good to see. Mines, looks like Littleboyblue is setting up for an attack. He has got more rifleman teams. No medic station though. Would have been nice to see. Would have been very nice actually. Rifleman getting hammered, and right there, jolly good show. Although getting behind heavy cover, in this case the MG42 could be in a lot of trouble. It's again out in the open, no cover. And there we go. Note how quickly it is going to be drained of health. Going to have to pull back quickly. And the lead gunner goes down. Unfortunately, Volkswagen are ready to try and stop the assault. Finding away at the rifleman as they try to enter into Wehrmacht territory. And getting stopped by the MG then. Another attempt. Looks like Mr. Littleboyblue is launching the larger assault. Looks like BartonPL's troops are managing to stop that. 352nd being certainly again one of these sort of more veteran divisions, despite being only recently trained, it's certainly outperformed considerably. And held up a lot more American divisions than you actually thought it was capable of. Sort of had a funny story, being composed of, well, the remainders of different veteran units. It didn't get the proper equipment, so it had to make do with uniforms from the Africa Corps, which at that time didn't exist when it was being put together, and all other sorts of things. Rapid warming up here. Volkswagen's got a bit too close to this machine gun emplacement and got suppressed. And that's sort of a funny thing. Machine gun emplacements, for example, the Americans have a much wider arc of fire compared to, say, the MG bunker of the Wehrmacht, which actually has a much smaller one. MG in trouble, and oh dear, Littleboyblue has gone for grenades. Grenade on the MG and Volkswagen's. MG cleared out, only one Volkswagen alive, needs to get out of there. More grenades on the other MG. Oh, heavy losses for BartonPL. And Volkswagen are getting absolutely murdered. That was a huge reversal against BartonPL. Still no medic station for the American commander. BartonPL trying to sort of break things here, but this has rather suddenly turned ugly against him. Half track though is ready. Not sure where they got that from. Probably from the 2nd Panzer Division on land or something. Or could have been some command vehicle for one of their other slightly motorized units. You never know. Mine right there. Good to see, but it's not really going to do much now. And we're also seeing infantry up for Littleboyblue, who's immediately beginning to lay down a small belt of mines. Very good, very aggressive actually, and he's also got some howitzer shoots ready, or no idea why they call it howitzer shoot though. And the MG, of course, taken away from the Wehrmacht, thus further augmenting his firepower.
Troops can now make sticky bombs.
But BartonPL does not give up now with grenadiers, now with more solid German infantry for the Reich. And some Americans moving up here to make things difficult for the pioneers with the little flamethrower, their Flammenwerfer. Minesweepers, good move there. Barton expecting mines, of course. Not a bad idea, and there we go, lots of machine gun fire from the half-track, from the MG. Cannoneers and Volkswagen is also moving up. These riflemen are in what you'd call trouble. And continuing with the minesweeping again, good move. I mean, it's always a good idea to assume your opponent is competent and get some minesweepers early on. Because again, a mine can do a lot, and of course also note, usually for example in case of engineers, the units actually gain the kill if they gain anything, so of course they can actually gain veterancy that way. I think it also applies to riflemen, although I'm not entirely sure. Some units get it, others don't. It's a bit unclear. So we can't be fully sure. But more grenadiers out for Barton to essentially replace those false grenadiers who were lost. And of course be an idea to get a medic bunker for him. And still, you know, for Littleboyblue, a little blue medic station. Americans pushing up here, though, getting stopped by the barbed wire there. The grenadiers holding up there, but grenades and a flamethrower team, and he does get it out in time. With only one grenadier lost. Kampfkraft center up. Could be that BartonPL will be going for this sort of heavy grenadier strat when of course he's being pushed on a lot of sides by a very aggressive American player who of course just gained a pretty huge advantage. Again via that assault right here with those grenades all of a sudden pumping out, and BartonPL was clearly not prepared. Now the assault is going in, he's setting up a bunker, but it might be too late. I'm getting stopped by MG. Force guys and grenadiers holding the center. MG actually pulling back, and the American MG setting up. Bunker cancelled. Half track ready. MG retreating. Pack moving up, of course expecting armored vehicles. Not a bad assumption at all. We are in fact seeing a motor pull up. We are seeing an anti-tank and up supply at upgrade number 1. Preparing for the long fight. Good idea. I mean, that's what some American players do. They do forget the supplied upgrades and sort of preparing for the longer fight. Although again, a medic station will also help with that. Pushing onwards here. Force Grenadiers holding out as the Americans sort of try to break through the BARs. Anti-tank gun opens up and more rifle advancing. MG also moving up. Barton slowly being forced to retreat more and more, further and further. And a small mine belt going up here as well. Very aggressive mining from Littleboyblue, good to see. Mines can always make quite the difference. And should not be underestimated one way either. You know, using them or going up against them. Attempt here by some Grenadiers to move on the eastern flank with MG in support. Good, but also another team moves up on the western flank. So good show there. Of course, question is if we can actually keep it up. Half-tech moving up to actually support the western one and reinforce the troops there. Good move. Veterancy also up for the infantry. Nothing for the vehicles though. Could be good. I mean, half-techs, for example, gain a 25% damage reduction bonus. In that sense, it's actually quite nice. And of course, veterancy for the MG never hurts either. Stack count up a T-17. Mind you, the Americans never actually really used it. That was actually something the British used in a larger extent. The Americans basically, you know, stuck to the M8 Greyhound, the M20, which was also a Greyhound without the turret, or they will used the Stuart light tank. Then he has to run into the American MG, but the western flank could still keep going. Bunker up for BartonPL. I imagine we'll be seeing a medic bunker. And a sniper actually out for BartonPL now. Going perhaps to clear out that MG. Allowing his own troops to advance. T-17 though senses something and moves in. Pack quickly rushes up. And there we go. T-17 is in its sights. First shot does quite a bit of damage. And of course, what would be the reason you choose the T-17 over the Greyhound? I mean, the T-17 is essentially tougher. You don't actually have to pay for upgrades. It can stun vehicles, which in some sense can work better towards your own strategies. And of course, in combat views, you can usually sort of define your own strategy as long as you sort of keep some important ground concepts into work, like, you know, maneuver, the ability to attack, hold ground, anti-tank, and all that. I mean, a T-17 has an advantage, but the trouble is, its damage output is a bit questionable. It has a bit of trouble actually hitting anything. In that sense, the Greyhound can be a bit better, although again, I wouldn't say the T-17 is useless. But again, I mean, if you prefer using your munitions on something else, again, the T-17 is certainly an admirable choice, as it is tougher than the Greyhound. Pioneers getting run off. Sniper once more moving forward. Scharfschütze Sniper König. Half-track waiting in the background. Or then from some supply units to probably support the front troops. Another assault going in. Half-track providing fire support. Grenadiers also standing there. Medic getting hunted down. Possibly artillery. Oh dear, sniper. Everything else is right in front of it. But they're rushing into the half-track. Actually sort of, you know, that's allowing them to sort of at least survive that. Although the half-track might still be going down. Heavy losses. False guns don't look like to make it. And the half-track goes out of control. But everyone is alive. Everyone is alive. Mostly. Snipers alive. Pioneers and Grenadiers were not absolutely annihilated. So in that sense, good move there. Very tricky, but jolly well good. Another push. T-17 ready once more. And a howitzer going up. Again, having gone fully for the right side. Littleboyblue is getting ready to drop some artillery right into the lines of the Wehrmacht. Of the 352nd. And there we go. Probably going after the anti-tank gun. Or the MG in this case, it seems. And things are looking still a bit depressing for BartonPL. He's holding out, but that's about it. Littleboyblue is pressing hard, and he's holding most of the map. With a vengeance. Sending in minesweepers towards the east, which is reasonably open, although there's still engineers and riflemen there, who could in fact be setting up for an assault right through here, burn away the wooden fence by using attack ground, and then sort of move through, but no, they run into some pioneers, who are then forced away. And looks like they are getting ready to attack again. Mines going off for some grenadiers, running right into flamethrowers. Veterancy 2 up, good show there. And the T-17 finally killed someone. Hurrah! MG hiding in some wrecked crater. And grenading the MG-42, which he was quite able to get away with. Good veterancy on the rifle already. Some are veterancy 2, some are veterancy 1. Flanking in. Oh, viciously. Artillery on the medic bunker. Pack exposed. T-17. Oh dear, getting about it. Snipers, actually, BartonPL has gotten 2 snipers to really increase the attrition on the American infantry. I suppose not a bad idea. Could work. Yes, indeed. Riflemen absolutely annihilated by the snipers. But the T-17 moves in for the hunt. Half-track, another half-track out for BartonPL. Scrounging up another one. Panzerfaust on the T-17. Good gravy. Let's go look at BartonPL and actually have a look at the mid-game analysis. Currently, situation is pretty grim for BartonPL. The American assault is moving in. And this could be a make-it-or-break-it moment for the American commander. If he pulls this off right, then BartonPL is going to be absolutely wrecked. On the other hand, if BartonPL does manage off some good checks, keep steady, he might be able to sort of beat the American off. But already one rifleman team is down, so that's only going to be hurting a bit. And if he's not careful, he might be losing that T-17 and lose whatever advantage he gained in knocking out that pack. But really, not a lot of territory for BartonPL, and he needs to sort of deliver some terrible damage to Littleboyblue in this assault so he can gain some time to get ready. Otherwise, of course, that howitzer can really do some more damage. But what does Littleboyblue need? He either recommend getting a tank depot or getting a medic station. He needs to sort of get something that can really trump BartonPL, and needs to move beyond that, just, the infantry artillery game, I'd say. BartonPL, survive this, and then perhaps, either get some more grenadiers, or I'd recommend, going perhaps towards a Sturmarmy or Panzer Command, and getting something that can push again. But let's return to this fight. I said return. Riflemen continuing to get sniped. Grenadiers need to get out. The MG stopping a part of the assault. Sticky bomb on the half-track, killing only the gunner though. And T-17 going in for the hunt. It smells snipers and it wants some. False Grenadiers retreating. Grenadiers reinforcing back at base. No Panzerich for them. Quite interestingly, although again, T-17 has to be careful. Another Panzerfaust. Yes, indeed. No, it was a dud. But there we go. T-17 is down. It's kaput. Medic bunker is somehow still standing. And I think Littleboyblue took quite a thrashing right there. Although it certainly wasn't without damage to BartonPL either. And he certainly got something there he could salvage if he was decidedly quick enough. Getting another pioneer team. Good. BAR left behind. Could be a thing for the Grenadiers or the Volksgrenadiers to pick up. And I believe he's firing after that medic bunker, hoping to finally finish it off. And that's of course denied BartonPL an ability to sort of recover the wounded. And there we go, medic bunker is down. And of course he might be going for the Tiger tank, which could certainly also be a huge asset for him. A bit quiet, another bunker going up for BartonPL right there. Lovely. And he is moving up. Half-track ready again still. No veterancy for it. Sniper sniping away. No veterancy for the support units either, interestingly enough. Could do a bit with the MG. Riflemen sitting up to flank in the east. Grenadiers holding in the line here. BAR certainly helping out a bit. Grenades even. Half-track rushing in. Heavy losses for Littleboyblue's infantry. Riflemen getting sniped and being forced to run. has survived now, holding up in an overgrown ditch. And the anti-tank gun proves to be a good deterrent towards that half-track. MG, all of a sudden, not really getting much out of that for Littleboyblue. Pack secured again, and I believe it has even been repaired. Well, it hasn't then. Getting veterancy for the support units, so that's good. Could he be firing at the grenadiers, or what is he firing at? In this case, it can be a bit difficult at times to determine because huge scatter on units. Again, scatter is essentially determined on artillery, basically on range, and if you can actually see the target. So in this case, it's going to fly pretty wildly because one, he can't see the target, and one, it's actually pretty far away. So that, of course, is a little tip for you new players when it comes to using artillery, or map artillery more specifically. Veterancy 3 on the way for the infantry. BartonPL toughening it up, instructing his men to not ignore the pain.
Listen up.
But actually a bit quiet right there. Half track moving up, grenadiers and full scans moving up with snipers in support, although they are a bit close to each other. Could end up a bit unfortunately, all of a sudden artillery began flying in there. MG stopping the grenadiers and full grenadiers. And some pioneer work over here, although there's still some riflemen from Littleboyblue, but no replacement infantry though. And another howitzer going up for Littleboyblue. He's really laying it on thick with the artillery. And he's getting the veterancy for the support units. Could work, although again I think a Sturm army would also be a nice thing to consider. But at least now the full scans and grenadiers are going to be rather much tougher to deal with. Of course, for those wondering, well, how is that fair? Remember, you know, a one howitzer shell can completely annihilate a Wehrmacht team. I mean, there's a lot of abilities for the Americans that can essentially annihilate Wehrmacht units. Conversely, there's only the other thing that can do that for the Wehrmacht is the Goliath, and that costs 125 ammunition, and you sort of have to roll it up to the opponent and hope he doesn't retreat in time. So in that sense, it's not quite as simple. The Grenadiers with the BAR, the LMG, doing quite nicely there, although LMG 42 I suppose could also be a help. Moderately. Mines getting swept, good job there. House getting artillery. Grenadiers not getting hit because the building actually absorbs most of the fire. Which also leads to a little tip when it comes to placing bunkers. I mean, placing them either in cover of bocage or a building can mean they can survive much longer against all map artillery because the building or the bocage will absorb most of the fire from the howitzers or the calampis or whatever other sort of all map artillery exists. Weapon support sent up. He's probably hoping to get a sniper to deal with those filthy crap snipers. And he's gotten veterancy 3. And for German snipers, it actually means they will fire somewhat faster. And the Grenadiers took some heavy losses there. In this case, they were a bit lucky. Didn't get completely annihilated. But I have seen it happen. And I even seen lost one Stormtrooper and Grenadier team to one howitzer shell. That was still very painful. But lots of minesweepers, lots of mines going down. Half track holding out here. Anti-tank gun moving up, although has to be careful, there are snipers about. And the MG quickly gets sorted out that way. And the half-track could be going down. No, it managed to avoid the artillery. And the anti-tank gun fire, but again, BartonPL might want to consider trying to attempt some sort of breakthrough. And again, I mean, veterans is nice, but he's also going a lot of resources into it, which also means he can't be getting any more units. Of course, he's still, you know, stuck a bit here. And of course, yes, if he ends up losing both snipers, he's going also to have wasted a bit of those resources. But I would recommend getting some more infantry, and I also recommend really pushing towards the east now, before all is lost. And certainly also note the victory points in relation to each other. The American commander, Littleboyblue, clearly has more.
Half track, awaiting command. Field repairs complete.
And fun fact, Pioneers, I believe that Veterancy 3 actually receive some sort of bonus, so they actually take less damage when they're repairing. So that is of course what you try to find out like that. Rather than moving up, we'll be seeing grenades from Littleboyblue. He seems to have actually forgotten about using them utterly, which is a bit interesting. But more artillery from the 2 howitzers. Volksman is inside the building. Building is looking reasonably well. Rifleman in the far away got sort of sent away. Grenadiers under fire, also picked up here, and then one shot and the building utterly collapses. That was quite unfortunate. Can happen though, can happen. And the rifleman actually taking a pretty heavy beating from the Grenadiers, who then take some damage from the grenade. More mines up for Littleboyblue. And we are now in fact seeing some more infantry up for BartonPL, although again, probably to replace that Volkswagen team which got absolutely mulched. Although he could have gone for the Stormtroopers, I suppose, instead. Stormtroopers are much tougher. In fact, I believe they are, in terms of hit points, the toughest units. I mean, Knights Crossholders are obviously tough, but Stormtroopers per man have more health than Knights Crossholders, although it's only by a very small margin. But still fun little fact, and of course you could equip them with assault rifles. Grenadiers immediately suppressed, and of course that's sort of the disadvantage with Veterancy 2, which gives elite armor. Your Grenadiers will actually be much swifter suppressed. I don't actually think he's gone for a sniper yet. Wait, there we go. Trying to catch the German sniper, and he misses. Oh dear, actually alerting the German snipers to his own sniper. Of course, they are retreating, so if... Yes, Littleboyblue might be firing right into the Wehrmacht base, hoping to get the snipers on the retreat. Oh no, he didn't. What an absolute miss. Let's return to Littleboyblue. Half-track moving in to support the Grenadiers. And a lot of Pioneers and some other Grenadiers. And heavy artillery fire knocks out 2 Grenadiers right away. Forcing a retreat. Medic bunker somehow still standing.
Losing ground out there.
Pushing up in the west though. Snipers moving up again. How many kills? 15, 16. Getting close to him, actually earn themselves in. And Rangers have come out for Littleboyblue, immediately equipping them with the Thompson submachine gun, moving in against the Grenadiers, charging in madly. Resulting in the Grenadiers quickly being pushed off. Grenades getting locked. No idea why he threw it at the half-tank. I think that might have been an accident. And there we go, Tigers ready. On the length from the Panzer, which actually had some Tiger 1s as well. Moving up to support the troops of the 352nd Infantry Division, which was later after Normandy reconstituted as the 352nd Volksgrenadier Division, I believe. And was then committed to Operation Herbst Nebel. But BartonPL holding on, more artillery again, lots and lots of artillery. And both howitzers have gained Veterancy 1, and of course they shoot faster.
Enemy unit down.
And the MG42 got absolutely shattered.
Germans are seizing territory from us.
But at least BartonPL is making progress on the eastern side as well. He has been able to sort of tear down Littleboyblue in that sense. Supply at upgrade number 2 up as well, good, but still no medic station. I do feel that's a huge mistake on Littleboyblue's part. Things are certainly getting torn up, lots of churned up ground. Tiger still holding on. No veterancy for the Tiger though, absolutely no veterancy. I do think that's a miss as well. I mean, usually you want to get veterancy for your Tiger, you absolutely do. Trust me on that one. I've been coming under fire from Grenadiers. Could have been interesting if BartonPL had gone for some LMGs to see how that would go when the rifleman tracks try to move up on the Grenadiers. Though again, LMGs for the Grenadiers are not always effective, but they usually, occasionally they can do quite well. It's a bit difficult to say at times. But more Grenadiers moving in, another bunker up. I imagine another medic bunker. Rifleman actually command heavy fire being forced away. Rangers though and riflemen also there. An alright decent force. Though some support would be nice and very close to getting an off-map combat group. And Grenadiers are moving in with BARs on the western flank, flushing out the Americans there, forcing them further back while other Grenadiers are pushing out the Rangers. Could be getting off a grenade. Not entirely sure what these Grenadiers are trying to, not continuing pushing on. There we go. Grenade on the Rangers, forcing that cover. Grenadiers being forced back. Medic bunker, as you might have noticed, barely took any damage from the howitzer due to the bocage. So again, you know, trying to keep them behind that. And Grenadiers pushing now against the riflemen, certainly the weaker link. Rangers trying to rush up, but simply exhausted. Tiger getting sticky bomb. He's actually getting veterans forward now, though. And snipers, of course, provide nice support. Oh, I thought those pioneers were dead, actually, but never mind. Grenadiers running into a bit of a problem, getting grenaded, getting shot up by Thompson submachine guns, but now there's a half-tech to the rescue, although it could get bazookaed. And there we go. And both miss. Oh yeah, that might actually have been a sort of thing due to cover. Let's briefly explain what happened there. Well, vehicles can actually gain an advantage out of cover. I believe also light, I'm not entirely sure though, but there's something called vehicle cover. And basically means if they're in cover as well, it also applies to tank. It actually gets harder to hit them. I think there's like a 25 or 50 like something bonus right there. So I mean, that's also a small detail right there. It's not very often mentioned, it's not very often used. I mean, I think that's what in this case actually saved this half-tack from getting hit by 2 bazooka rockets. More Grenadiers coming out in there. And grenades coming out of the Grenadiers. Tiger going down in repairs. Medic bunker getting put together. Still no attempt at salvaging this wrecked T-17 though. I do feel that's a bit of a miss. But continuing a more slow advance up here on the eastern flank. Medics getting knocked out by the artillery. Riflemen attacking in, supported by the MG. Grenadiers taking a lot of damage from the riflemen and their BARs. In fact, getting torn up on the retreat. Oh, hiccups. Wondrous. And the assault continues on. Half-tack might want to move up to support those Grenadiers. Veteran C3 riflemen actually also increasing the damage they do by 50%, meaning essentially any weapon they get gets very dangerous, including the BAR. Even though it's already pretty dangerous. And the Tigers once more ready to attack. The snipers are also ready to support. And again, this sort of lack of facilities to sort of constantly replace units might be taking its toll on Littleboyblue. And a good grenade right there through the window, knocking out one of the MG gunners. And Grenadiers hiding behind the remains of a building what once used to be a farmer named Pierre's house. Pierre obviously now is homeless.
We are losing
Rangers and riflemen moving up there. Good show. Sniper in support. Looks like a new sniper in fact. And Grenadiers a bit on their own are in a lot of trouble. But Grenadiers are arriving with an LMG, the BAR. And again, lots and lots of artillery from the American commander. Even veteran G2 for 1 howitzer, again increasing the rate of fire. Well, the sort of rate of fire can often get fire. Western flank secured as well. Victory points now turning against the American commander ever so slowly. And more artillery. Now off map in fact. Grenadiers have to be a bit careful. Pioneers dropping out there on the half track though. And Grenadiers running straight into it. Now that's running through it. Oh dear. quite excessive, this amount of artillery, but it's certainly doing quite well for Littleboyblue. Sniper gets off a good shot, getting a... Right, we didn't see that happen. And oh dear, that's going to be the need of a Tiger, I think. No, no. Oh, sneaky that. BartonPL is actually sort of noticing that all of his opponent's forces over here. What does he do? He drives his Tiger straight into his opponent's base and begins firing at the howitzers. Quite sneaky that. And oh dear, I think that's actually a bit of a mistake. He could have gone for an off-map combat group, which could have given the resource actually to take on the Tiger more directly. Instead, he's now just getting anti-tank guns. And a flamethrower half-tank out for BartonPL. How rare! Actually doing quite a bit of damage to these riflemen. My goodness. Burning free and otherwise scorching them quite viciously. Although it is, of course, taking a lot of damage. Finally gets knocked out of control. But still, that was quite surprising. Actually made things a lot harder for the Americans. 7 command points again. He could be going for an off-map combat group. He just needed to basically, save together the resources, cancel that, and he... Yes, indeed, he's now doing for it. I imagine he's going to be soon going for it. There we go. Though I think he should have gone for it a lot earlier. Grenadier holding out behind a wrecked half-track. Medic bunker down again. MG bunker up there to protect that. Snipers joining in. Oh dear, 2 snipers versus 2 snipers. Who will win? Apparently BartonPL decides to get out of there. Not fancying the whole getting sniped. But both howitzers have been eliminated. They eliminated the Tiger, that has been pretty heavily damaged, though, due to armor-piercing rounds. And he's basically hoping to wreck the American base while Grenadiers are moving up to counterattack the Americans. Grenadiers are getting sniped, though, as they advance. German snipers moving up to get the American snipers, trying to get the German ones. Grenadier needs to get out there before it's lost on the retreat.
One of our snipers,
and there we go, American sniper knocked out. Clever Hans got him. And oh dear, he retreated back. No, both snipers missed him. Oh, the inhumanity, and there we go. Oh, that's a great off-map combat group. Hellcat and 2 T-17 armored cars. And basically all he wants to do is fire off some phosphorus rounds. There we go, stunned phosphorus rounds were actually used quite a bit by the Americans. And yes, they could stun a crew, because basically when you're in a tank and all of a sudden things get very hot and smoky, you think you're on fire. In that case, you actually get a bit worried. Sort of less known thing. And the T-17 providing otherwise fire support. Tiger tank could be going down. Hellcat, though, taking a bit of damage. And there we go. Tiger is down. Tiger is kaput. Pioneers getting hunted down. There's a small armored columnist on the way, but I do believe we're seeing a manpower blitz out for BartonPL, getting a Stu 42 and a Tiger tank. Yes, indeed, manpower blitz. Range is getting stopped by the MG bunker. Engine destroyed on the T-17. Hellcat has to get out of there. Makes a rush towards the east. And GG from Littleboyblue, having realized he has lost against the 352nd and retreats. And there we go, victory for BartonPL. And of course, what are the lessons here? I mean, the problem really for Littleboyblue was he basically got worn down. He did have a lot of good things, good aggression, good use of grenades, good use of supply out, but he was lacking that medic station. And basically that final assault here did not go well for him, and that basically sort of allowed BartonPL to hold on and basically sort of, prepare for a longer fight using medic bunkers, using good veterancy, although I'm not entirely sure if he should go on veterancy 3 for the support units, perhaps, gun some more troops there, then perhaps a Sturm Armory, or perhaps even gone for a Panzer Command, but that of course can be debated, that can be discussed. And I suppose he could have tried at least one LMG 42, might have done well, but still, good use in the end. sort of bit of clever there. And of course, basically the fact that he left his base and his 2 howitzers unguarded when he knew when there was a target in the west basically backfired against Littleboyblue. That was rather what BartonPL pulled off quite nicely. So there you go. I do hope you enjoyed this game. If you did, why not subscribe or tell your friends? And if you didn't, well, why not send in a replay of your own? This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.